to drink beer here. Can we do that?
Yeah,
I have a what's the margarita or something?
I'm drinking some Sapporo right now, some Japanese
got
beer.
a
I'm trying to switch it up a little
got a
bit. So,
Fogwood Records wine that
Oh, that's
I mean,
sick.
oh, what, dude? That's crazy. Oh, I need one of
yeah,
those. That's sick.
yeah, I'll get you one.
Yeah, I need one of those. I'm gonna let it age. I'm gonna let it simmer for a
It's
couple
a
of
it's a
years.
dark red made in Siler City. It's not too far from here.
Dude, that's so cool. That's insane. How did you even make that happen? Like, how did that come about?
One of my friends owns a vineyard, and I don't know. He's been making like wine and meat and stuff since he was in college, and we'd like do it in his parents' house. So
That's
Casually
crazy.
drop. I have a friend who has a vineyard, you know. Like
Yeah,
just so casually, right?
yeah, that's awesome. I actually just started brewing mead at my house. I'm
Oh,
on
cool.
my
yeah,
on my second batch. The first one went really good. I just got like a home kit, and then
yeah. Dude, if you
I
want any
just
pointers, like I can get you in touch with my friend.
I'm
He,
gonna see how the first one turned out decent. I got super experimental with this one right now. It's a grilled pineapple mango hibiscus mead. It's pretty crazy. So we're gonna see how it goes. It should be good
all right.
though.
I mean, everything going in, it sounds good. So
Yeah, it smells really good, but I was trying to get like a super high alcohol percentage, and I don't know. I had to double ferment it. I don't know. We're literally at the hand of God right now. It's either gonna kill me or it's gonna taste really good. So I'll keep you
or
updated.
both.
Yeah, I know for real. Yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, to hit it off, I mean, like first point, like I want to say is like an engineer perspective, like from the trio perspective, we got the artist Saynave, got Fogwood Records, also Stupid Sexy Paulo slash Paulo and the Problems doing his thing, and then us to the studio here, like being able to work together and do stuff has been super enjoyable. Like being able to
Agreed.
just give
Yeah, for
pointers,
sure.
people being able to receive that and understand what we're talking about, like not sending super shitty stems and bad stuff and like understanding what the process is and like having workflow has been incredible. I think it's super important. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add
Yeah,
on
no,
that.
I rant about this all the time that
Yeah,
in the age of technology, right, we have an increase of democratization, which is good, and expediency, sure, but like I find, especially on the engineer side, we have there's been a like the lost art of A&R, also been a lost art of engineering and getting things mixed properly. Everyone's like, oh, I can just do it on my phone, I can do it on this cheap ass mic and then just put it out via
yeah.
DistroKid. And so um
Well,
we
that's like
often
the
get
expectation for producers now is to like mix their own shit too, which
Yep.
right,
Yeah, all the
exactly.
time.
Yep.
All the
yeah,
time. Yeah.
Mm,
Producers, especially with not to open the rabbit hole, but with AI, it's ridiculous. Like
yeah,
it's really skewed the perspective of what people think they are capable of doing versus what realistically they can produce and put together. And
yeah.
I think like individual people having a role that they have a passion with and coming together to make things is really what makes magic with music.
And I think it really helps you find people who are like masters of what they do. Because I mean, like I've been a producer for 20 years now. And especially when I was younger, I had a lot of pride and I wanted to like do everything myself, play every instrument, mix and master all that, like and just have my fingerprints on all of it. And then, I got to a place, eventually where I was just like, there's people out there like, like Bruno who plays bass on all our songs. Like he's been playing
Bruno
bass
is a
as
beast.
long as I've been
Just throwing that
doing
out there.
all of my stuff combined, right? So like of course his bass is going to be better than mine. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
and it's
straight
just
up.
kind of like that. Yeah, he was the one that opened my eyes. Like I just used him. We met randomly on a whim, like over COVID online, and decided to work together. And I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm not a master at everything. Like, and it
Yeah.
kind of made me figure out what I was a master at, and which led me to working with guys like Saynave and you, which that's a good story that we're gonna need to get to how you got in the mix.
Yeah. Well,
No pun
also too,
intended.
I know, right? Well, also too, like I mean, you see my keyboard here. I used, and I still do make a lot of beats. I was primarily self-produced. That project that you mixed on for Ride With Me, is the first project where I did not produce anything. Now I'm gonna go back to producing, but given time, having kids, it was like I know how I could make this process more efficient and really make it sound good without muddying things, right? I do think on the flip side, people should know how to do a little bit of each thing so they could
Yeah.
properly communicate
Oh yeah.
what they want. And I will be making beats on my upcoming project, but there is something that once again to relying on people who have what like that's their main thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's you get stretched too thin. You can't. I mean, trying to do it all, especially working full time, it's too much.
Yeah, I think I mean, it comes down to fundamentals. It's like having a good friend, you know? Like you don't expect your friends to do everything for you, but when you need them, you don't have to if you have a problem or a situation, you have someone to go to so you don't have to just sit at home with all these emotions and these thoughts and just figure it out by yourself. You go to your friends and you help figure it out with them. And so I feel like that's how I look at relationships. I think the music industry is a very similar way. Like when you have a problem that you know would be beneficial to go to somebody else for, you just go to them, the engineer versus the
Right.
artist versus label management, whatever it is, and you talk to them, you tell them what you need, and they execute it so much better, or they help you figure it out. And that's I just simplify it down to that. It's so much like a
Yeah,
friendship.
yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about, I know we kind of talked about what we are gonna say, and the last thing we talked about was Ride With Me, but I feel like we need to pick back up into
Yeah, I
that.
think that sets the scene pretty well.
Yeah, that was
Um,
how it all started. Ride With Me. So from my perspective, David contacted me through engineers. Shout out to engineers, by the way. Um, I think he had worked with, ironically, whole different story, had worked with a really good friend of mine on engineers, plus a lot of other people, and they weren't getting exactly the sound they were looking for. So they ended up finding me. They booked me, took a whim, threw me this track that had like every instrument you can imagine on it. Like it was
Like
the most
in,
impossible record of
in
all
every
time.
track, every instrument had like four like different like stems. You
It
know?
was like it was crazy.
Well, actually, funny enough, the way that song started was another guy. Um, like that wasn't that song was written to another beat and by this guy Dab, and we were he was it was for a the sync like for getting a sync license that didn't pan out. And then Dave heard it, and Paulo heard it and was like, yo, this can go somewhere. We should really build this out like properly. And so and I was like, yo, I'm trying to get this album done. And so literally he's like, no, trust me on this.
yeah.
Give me like a month and a half. And I'm like, I just want to put this project out.
Yeah, no, it was way quicker. I did that in like a week. That was like the quickest we did. Like, there's no reason that should have been completed in time for your record.
A
Yeah.
week? It was a
But
week?
you knew exact. I think the difference is it's the second you heard the demo version of it. Um, I think you were like, I know exactly where this needs to go. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, I think you're right. It was about a week, and then that's when
Yeah,
the
no,
gears started
I
to roll.
got that and
The production value of it, right? Like the production value happened in a week's time.
yeah.
Yeah. So there was a an
So
original beat. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say yeah. So Bryant played the song and he was just like, yeah, it's all right. I don't know if I want it on the
Hmm.
album or not. And I was like, I got what you meant because it was good, but it didn't really fit the vibe of like the record as a whole.
Hmm.
And so I was just kind of like the hook on it was like what got me. And I was just like, I don't know. I just heard that. I was like, this is a demo. Like we can turn it into something real. And so like before I even started writing it, I called Bruno, I called Adam, all the guys that I work with, the musicians, and I scheduled time for all the sessions like within like 2 days of hearing it, and then just yeah, I got in the studio, started like kind of the way I write songs is I'll start in Logic and I'll just kind of do everything on like my guitar or like MIDI or like you know drum tracks, stuff like that. And then like I'll use that as a demo and then we book, time with like the band to actually record the live instrumentation. So yeah,
That's
we
something.
knocked that out so quick. And
Hmm.
then the only problem was as soon as we finished it, like originally I think Brian asked me to mix it, and I was just like, I'm not mixing this, man. It's not good enough. And
Yeah, I definitely did. Yeah.
yeah, and so actually so we had a really good engineer we worked with a lot leading up to this album, and she's actually on engineers too. Her name's Alexis, and she's super talented too. But at the time, like I think her studio got broken into or something, and
Yeah.
somebody like stole all her
Shit.
gear.
Hmm.
So we're like, oh
Oh
man, we got to
my
find
God.
somebody. And I
I
mean,
had like 4 songs left, and I was like, so
yeah,
I think Shane did the other. His name was Shane, right? Yeah, Shane.
Yeah,
yeah,
Shane.
Shane. He did
And
like he did three.
the
Oh,
crazy
good.
part is Shane's like literally one of my best friends, which is
That's
the
yeah,
craziest part of this whole
crazy.
story.
What's
Like,
crazy is he just called me.
yeah,
Oh, word.
yeah,
I mean,
I'm
yeah.
going to LA with him next weekend. Like,
Oh, word.
oh
yeah,
nice.
like,
Yeah, yeah, so he did like I scrambled to find engineers, and so he did 3 songs,
yep.
and then you did Ride with Me, and then yeah, it was wild. We were like literally I had the stems ready, and she was like, "Yo, dog, mine."
For anyone
Yeah,
watching, this video too, like Ride With Me is like the most genre breaking song of all time. Like we have guitars, bass, there's strings, there's like all sorts of different synths going on. We have live drums, like all sorts of different like sound bites, like horns.
It's an
It
insane
is
track.
it's an awesome track, dude.
It's insane.
yeah,
I was shocked because normally from an artist perspective, you're kind of just in go mode and like David said, I did it for originally for someone else.
Yeah.
And but actually David was like, no, get the rights to that song. That song is there's something there.
yeah,
And that's probably there may be like on any project that I work on, let's say like 6 of the songs I knew from the start, 7 of the songs. But I have countless songs where it's someone else like, oh no, you gotta keep that. You like, what are you doing? Why is that in the back? Why is that even in your B side? Like you're not gonna use it. Like that's it. And so this was one of those cases where Paulo was like, yo, you gotta use this is the one, right? I'm like, all right, let's do it. And yeah, I always think like there's a whole misconception of the genius artist or the genius producer or whoever or like Quincy Jones. Like, half the time it is a group of individuals, it's a lot of input. Half the time things are happy accidents, so on and so forth. And this is one of those
yeah.
happy accidents.
Well, yeah, because
That's
I
why
mean, we were so
bouncing ideas are so important,
yeah,
man. Like you have to have people that see that in you, like especially as a creator. Half the time you make something, at least from my experience, when you make something, it's usually the reassurance of other people that show you what you've made. Half the time you're so insecure of what
Yeah.
you make, you really
Yeah, look,
don't
our
know what the
songs go
potential
back and
is.
forth 1,000. Like that's the one thing I never understood about like, oh, yo, I just freestyle and write one time, that's it, right? Like
Yeah.
the songs that me and Paulo do go back and forth 1,000 times, right?
but I think we kind of have like an old school mentality when it comes to that, to where like I don't think I've worked with any other rappers where like we make a demo first, kind of like old school bands before we actually like take it to the studio to like record the master. And I think Ride With Me is a great example of how like you can really make a better song doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, that song shouldn't even exist. Like, because I mean, we were so against the clock with everything, and
Mhm.
I know Eric ended up mixing it, but I mean, like, we had what, like 4 people mix that before Eric, and
Mhm.
you were like our last hope, because we were like, it's just without
It's,
a good
it's
mix. That song was so busy, it just had to have a perfect mix.
It
yeah.
was a
And like, no
complicated
disrespect to any of the
track.
other, yeah, and there's no disrespect to any of the other mix engineers, because I mean, like, Shane, I know we've talked about him, like he crushed it with all the other songs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was just
Shane's
like,
super talented. But this also goes down to this same plot like we've been talking about the whole time. Like it really comes down to, like finding people that are a master of their certain craft. Like
yeah,
Shane's coming from Mississippi. There's a ton of like soul country, like just southern rap down there, and he's a master of that and R&B. He's one of the best R&B and like rap mixers that I know. Like I don't think I've found someone personally that I know that can do it better than that. I can still do good, so I'm not selling myself. But
well, no, even with like
what,
me with like writing, it's like it just
yeah,
sometimes I know if like I'm like, yo, I'll tell Paulo, yo, get McFly on that song. Like I know
yeah,
he will do a better
Yeah.
version of what I'm thinking in my head because I don't. We have different styles of rapping, right? We're working on a project together too, and we're very different in how we perform. But there's just sometimes there's just some songs where it's like, no, I know he'll just walk all over me, right?
yep. I
So
heard that demo and I heard all the instruments and I love live instruments. I love doing that. Like I came from jazz, like that's what I came from. So like live instruments, I heard that and I was like, oh my God, I got this. Like this is a
Yeah.
piece of cake. Like you talked it up like it was this big thing and I heard it and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be hard, but I can definitely do this. I'm the guy. This is
awesome,
perfect. So
Yeah, no,
awesome.
we were so happy too because I think you know, as impressed as we were with Ride with Me, I think like believe it or not, I think Zodiac actually was what like made us be like, this is our guy from now on. Like, because
Zodiac
I
is
remember like
such a good song, dude.
we liked it, but that whole EP we rushed. I think, I mean, it was probably a month from start to finish in writing and
Yeah.
recording, right? Because we originally we were going to do the full album.
It was quick.
Then we decided we needed something to build momentum because I hadn't released anything in
Hmm.
so long. So like we had kind of played around with the idea of doing a whole collab album. We were like, let's just do
Yeah.
it. And
I think
you know,
two of
all
the
those
songs were.
songs.
I think two of the songs were rushed. Three of them, I know I had a lot of time with three of those songs, but like literally in the order in
Yeah,
which we put them out, the Zodiac in the second track, and the third I had the most time with, and then the last two
yeah,
I banged out, which is also atypical to me. I did them in like 2 weeks, which
yeah,
I don't ever write that fast. I'll write something, go rewrite it, and tweak it, But those were done pretty quickly.
yeah. But I think the thing too was like, I mean, like we definitely liked the EP, but like I wasn't like I was still like really excited about like the album, and I was like, this is just kind of like a step leading towards that. And we sent you Zodiac first, and I remember when you sent it back, I immediately before even listening to it sent the link to Bryant as well, and you know we both listened to it, and like immediately we were like blown away. Like it sounded like a completely different song to me.
Yep,
And it just
in
had
a
so
good
much
way.
more feeling in it. Yeah, and like I think that's when we were just like, you know, well, I don't know about we, but I know me, I was just like, you know, I tend to be like very opinionated and like a little too close to everything I do.
Mhm.
And then that gave me faith. I was like, you know what, Eric is a part of the band. Like, I mean, like the because we've had a lot of really good engineers that got a lot of clarity, but I think this was the first mix that like I could feel the music the way I was supposed to.
That's why I do what I do. Like that's in my perspective what engineering is all about. It's taking being given something with a good direction on what it is and putting the color between the lines and like
Yeah.
really changing it. Like that's the whole goal is to catch people by surprise and really like show people what they didn't think could be possible from the own music that they gave me and like
Actually,
bring that out.
mine was the song "Vote for Me," which was the last song of the project
Yeah, that song is dope.
because I
Yep.
was doing and I need to do more like content around that song, but because I was doing my best NERD impression, and I was like, I do not think this is going to come across after. When I heard the mix back, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for as far as like getting the mix right. So that was my first where I was like, yes, this is exactly what I had envisioned, and I was doing my very best Pharrell impersonation. And I kind of had it, but you whatever you did in the mix with the vocal tweaking, like that was spot on.
Yeah, man. You guys, whatever. You guys make it easy for me. You give me a lot of credit. You guys make it really easy for me as an engineer. Like all the audio files are right. You save me from a lot of time and effort of cleaning things up and having to name files. Like shout out. Can we just talk about how important that is? Like, can we just talk about
Yeah.
how important naming
Oh
things
yeah,
is? Like naming files. If you're trying to build a good relationship with your engineer, like please, it's so simple. Just name your files, man, because when I get in there, the less work your engineer has to do to manage the project and the session files, the more time they can stay inspired and just like get straight to the point and get
That's
it done.
right. Name it, and then also too, what I do a dry folder and a wet folder. Like people don't do that. A dry
Yes.
folder and a wet folder.
Yes,
And
that
it's
that's a good
like,
point. Yeah.
because like sometimes, you know, you'll hear something and I want it to be that way, but sometimes it's just like reverb is like they might have a better way to put the reverb on it, right? And it's like give both so they can hear the example and then either keep that or do something a bit better, you know?
Yeah.
A good example of that, and you guys are the first people, and to better explain for anybody watching, like you guys are the first people to send me stems with the dry version of instruments and then the process version also. Like everything, I get an option. I can pick and choose between anything. So I can either get the raw audio file or the processed. I can either use it as a reference or use it as a tool. My favorite example of that is the guitars on almost every single mix I do for you guys. I almost always use the process guitar, and then I do some sort of side chaining with the dry guitars, and I
Mhm.
blend those in with it, and I do something crazy with it. I don't know, like you guys just do a good job at that. So I think it's a choice from engineering too. It's just like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like it
Yeah.
sounds good, so I'll use it, but I try to break the rules sometimes and make stuff sound
Yeah.
bigger and cooler. If you have more, you should use it. If it doesn't work, don't use it, and that's it. But having the
100%.
option is dope. It's awesome.
100%.
And I think that kind of comes back to like what we were saying earlier, where we spent so many years doing everything like by ourselves that like now that like I'm bringing in an engineer, like I know what it's like to get a session from somebody where like nothing's labeled. They don't even have like their samples lined up, like,
Oh man, it's a nightmare, dude.
and it takes you an hour just to get the session ready to listen to it, like,
Yeah, and me and Dylan come from working with like I mean we get stems from like band lab projects sometimes.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's really bad.
Yes.
Please ban band lab. Like this needs to stop. This needs to stop.
That's right
No,
up.
but yeah,
Yeah.
man. I know you guys got a couple of projects coming out soon that we've all worked together on too. Stupid Sexy Paulo is coming out with one, and the title track is Cruise Control. Um, talk about the album a little bit, and let us know what's going on, David. What we got?
yeah, so that's our follow-up album, and we're at the label, it's been a really crazy year. I think we kind of kicked off going in a new direction with Bryant's last album, and it was all received really well, and I mean it kind of got us to a place where we got a lot more attention, and we've even partnered with another company that's brings a lot more experience and a lot more resources, to where we can put a lot more out, like physically, like the vinyl, which I have self-promoting behind me. But like this is our first project that's going to be like in stores and not just sold online. Like you know,
That's huge. That
it's
is
being
huge,
sent
man.
all over the US, Europe, parts of Asia. And with that, like we're sending our back catalog along with it. So just from like a business standpoint, it's super exciting. But then also, I mean, this is Paulo and the Problem's second full length album, and I think we all enjoyed working on the first one, but this one feels like more intentional, I think.
Yeah,
It's
Um,
like a label relaunch, if you will. So I
yeah,
think
because
it's
kind of the whole point of the band is that, like it was a way to like kind of force everybody to collaborate, so there's no vocalist for Paulo and the Problems. It's a band kind of like Bad Bad Not Good or Free National, something like that. And we get our vocals from the label mates. So, like Saynave, Dudlow, McFly, like Bosley, all of them. So it's really cool to have this album that just feels like a showcase of the label as a whole.
yeah,
And yeah, like I said, the first one was kind of like, oh, we have all these different artists, so like I'm gonna make a song for Bosley, who is like more of a singer-songwriter pop artist. Then I'm gonna make a song for Bryant, who's like more of East Coast hip hop, and then McFly, who's West Coast hip hop, and it's kind of all over the place. And I think through making that, we were able to, with this album, just figure out a way to make it all feel like it belongs together a little bit better and not like a, compilation album, I guess.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. I don't think a lot of people realize how much, some people do, but the general majority of people don't realize how much planning and time and effort it takes into making a project that's not only audibly cohesive but timeline cohesive too. And
Yeah.
building it around, like, because times change, like, especially as a business, like with a label, people come and go and you meet new people, and sometimes you have a record from 2 years ago that's made with people completely different, session players completely different who you have now, and it might sound completely different, but it's assets, so you have to put it together. But
Yeah.
I feel like this album is like, everyone is the same, like it's all part of the label. It wasn't made in a super long timeline. It's a modern production of like what you guys have, and it sounds very cohesive. Like,
Yeah.
it is Fogwood. Like, it's what you
Yeah.
guys have.
And everyone, we got to a point that a few of us actually collaborate semi-frequently, which also helps out. You know what I mean? Like me and
Yeah.
McFly collaborate pretty frequently. Me and Paulo pretty frequently. I've worked with Dulo before. I've worked with Boz. It's Ali is on there. So it's good that people have worked together before, so everyone's on the same page, because it's hard to get people on the same page.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. That's definitely the biggest challenge. It's hard to collaborate, especially I'm really impressed, like as an engineer. I've never had to do this before, but it's something I've looked into doing, but doing like virtual sessions, like recording people virtually through Zoom, like what we're doing right now and stuff. I
Yeah.
think like doing digital sessions, and the fact that, David, you're recording like all the session musicians for the most part, like through virtual sessions, is just mind blowing
Yeah.
to me. Like, it's mind blowing.
But yeah, I mean, we started the band, right at the height of the pandemic, right? So
I met him in the height of the
yeah,
pandemic
so we didn't need
on
to, it
Reddit.
wasn't a,
We met on Reddit.
You met on
yeah.
Reddit?
We met
No
on
way.
Reddit.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, so like the band, like Paulo and the Problems, it's like, me, then Bruno, he's the bass player, he's in Rio. Um,
Shout out to Bruno, best bass player I've ever worked with.
yeah,
That guy
he's
deserves some
he
love,
is
man.
insane. Like another time we'll get him on. He can tell some of the stories from the road. I mean, he's played with some huge names, and it's hilarious too. I'll tell one Bruno story. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but before I really got to know him, I didn't really know his credits, right? I just knew he was like, we worked together on a song and it was incredible. I was like, I gotta work with him more. And so when I first started working with him, I would write his bass lines for him, and then I would also give him references and be like, if you want to like improv your own fills and stuff, like here's kind of the vibe we're looking for. And so I had this one record. It's actually one of Bryant's on. It's Bitch Goddamn, and
Mm.
so I was playing it for him, and I was just like, here's the song that really inspired it. And I played him a song by a Brazilian artist named Marcos Vail, who's like one of my favorite artists of all time. And I was just like, do you think you can do something like that? And I'm playing it for him. He just starts laughing. I was like, oh man, is this like a cheesy song for like real Brazilians or something? And he's just like, yeah, I can do that. I was like, why are you laughing? He's like, that's me playing on the record. I was just like, what?
That's so crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
That's crazy.
I played that every night for like 10 years when I was in his band. I was like, okay.
Wow, man, that's insane. That
That's a
guy,
true humble flex. People are like, no,
yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
you flex. That's how you flex, and not be like, right, like, hey, I was on
I feel like
that.
that's a scene out of like a movie. Like,
Mhm.
that's the craziest story, man. I remember you told me that a while back
Yeah.
when we first met, and I was asking about him because I remember when we first started working together, a lot of the revisions we did have. I'm not perfect. I do have revisions. And David is very picky. He's very picky about things, and that's the beauty of a relationship, is
Yeah.
Yeah.
being able to communicate those things and figure that out.
Hmm.
And the hardest thing I had a hard time with was the bass, trying to figure out what to do with the bass. Um, because there's a lot of beautiful synths in the records. There's a lot of instrumentation. There's a lot of, like, the guitars are very full. So I didn't know exactly how to place the bass. And most projects I've worked on before, either there's no bass, it's coming from a keyboard because it's jazz, or there's
Yeah.
an 808. So there's no need to really like place it somewhere. So like having a real bass guitar have a spot with a live band
Mm-hmm.
with so many instruments going on and synths, working that out was nice, and it helped me as an engineer significantly, like
Yeah.
through those revisions, like figuring that
Yeah.
out,
Well,
how to treat a bass, all that stuff.
I think we're to the point where like I think you know the things that are like really important to me. You know, like making sure people can hear the bass because we have like a
Yes,
I think he has 10 Grammys. Like
that's
and
crazy, dude. That's so
but now
insane.
it's
Yeah.
like I don't know, just through like I'm trying to I'm trying to get better at taking myself away from certain things and because I get too close. And you know, when you're that close as a producer, it's like, dude, I want to hear the shaker more. You don't need to hear the shaker more, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's there for
Yeah,
your candy.
Yeah.
So I try to you've got to a place where like I trust you and even if it's not what I envisioned, I'm like, this is probably right because he's got fresh ears. He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing and like we hear nothing but compliments on the mix with every record you've
Yeah.
done. So
So basically, the one
it's
term
a little bit
I
of yeah. We're just basically like if Eric thinks it sounds good, like also you know like especially when it comes to stuff like with me and Bryant, like we're kind of old. It's nice to you know have somebody who's a little more connected with the youth.
also too like the demoitis is a you know you don't want demoitis and
Oh
yeah,
you hear demo over and over again and it's like all right I've heard it so much that it can be wrong but you think it's right because you've heard it so much and so it's just better to have that's why I always say I'm like I'll always whenever I have a song and then I'll send it to I'm like hey what do you guys think because my opinion does not matter because I've heard it too much so whatever you guys think
right.
is a good mix
yeah,
will trump my or even the people around the way. I'm like, yo, listen to this. If you think it's better, I'll go with it because I'm too close to it.
Yep.
yeah.
I would say even as
I
an
actually
engineer,
learned that
like
from you. Yeah,
I've had songs I've mixed, before I really got confident in my workflow. I've had songs that I've mixed, 15, 20 times, like just back to back, probably my own songs. And most of
It's mix one, and mix one is the mix.
yeah, and usually the further back you go, the better it sounds. And I'll show it to someone and they'll say, "Hey, this one sounds better." And I'm like,
yeah,
"That's crazy. I hate that one." And
Yep.
yeah.
and you
As
just
far
go
as
with it
the
because it's true. Like you get so adjusted to your ears don't know what sounds true anymore. You get so like
yep.
Yep.
out of touch with what the record is.
Take one, even when I'm in the studio. I was in the studio in Seattle, and I remember doing this take 5 times. Everyone was like, "No, bro, it's the first take. First take
Yeah.
is money." You know, like I
Yeah.
did it 5 times for no reason.
I will say though,
So
but speaking of revisions, I know those first few records you mixed, it was a lot of like turn the bass up. But I think like the last three or four you've done have been like first one, like
yeah,
approved.
Yeah. What's
Like
oh my
you're
gosh,
definitely like
which
I feel like we're like all on the same page now.
yeah. Well, I think a good thing to end on too, before we start talking about dates and everything's coming out, is I think to really bring a full circle to the conversation we've had is, the beauty of working with people that know what they're doing. When you're working with a label from an engineer's perspective, and you have artists that are consistent, you have musicians that are consistent, everything's delivered in a very consistent way. You're not getting random projects every single time. So it's really easy to create a consistent sound from my side. I can create templates for what the drums should sound like and then adjust as needed. What the vocals should sound like. If I have Saynave, I have a certain thing I like to do with your vocals. If I have McFly, I have a certain thing I like to do with his vocals. The guitars are
Yeah.
different, you know, and so consistency is a big part of what a brand is. And, that's the beauty of working with a real business minded, community of musicians and artists and label owners, whatever the case may be of the position. Being able to create that consistency is invaluable. And I think it's something that's also somewhat of a lost art, kind of like mixing is now.
hmm
Uh, and bringing that back to life has been very inspiring. It's been very nice, and I think it's something that should be talked about quite a bit. So
yeah. Well, one thing before we wrap, I'm still in this quote from Scott Galloway, but it's like zig when everyone else is zagging, right? So right now there is a lot of quantity is kind of the game, and content is the game. So everyone's kind of cranking things out, which there's, with the algorithms, there's some logic to it. But my thing is like, I'm trying to do what everyone's not doing, and that's making albums, right? It's like I have a project, and then we have one EP, and this year I just had one single, and then I'm going to and then all I'm going to do again is one more EP and then another and then two albums in a row, one for myself and then one with Paulo and Problems, right? But it's I'm not just cranking out songs every week, which once again there's some science to it, I guess. But for me, I'm playing a different game, right?
It
Like
builds substance. It builds substance into the records.
It builds
Whereas
an actual back catalog, like no shade to anyone, but there's certain artists that you'll go to their back catalog, and it's just pages of scrolling of just singles that don't have any thought. So I'm not even invested in your back catalog because you don't even seem invested in your back catalog, and you're just making content all day. I think me and Paulo and McFly, everyone's in the game of art, not content. And so that's kind of how I look at everything, which is why we spend so much time, mixing and things like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Art and longevity.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Longevity, substance. When you got that quick turn content, it's like chewing a piece of gum. It's gone before the flavor is gone before you're 3 chews in, and then you spit it out, and you got to grab a new piece of gum.
Look, even Nico is impressed. Look at the dog. Even he's impressed with the album. He's looking staring right at the albums.
Shout out to Nico, man. So, David, what do we got timeline-wise? What are some dates? What do we got to look for? What do people need to know, man?
So we just this week released our third and final single for the album, leading up to it, and then July 11th is when the album drops. And I think we're just gonna really focus on that. We have a much slower summer than we usually do. Just because we really feel like we're playing on a different level, and we want to make sure we're not, overlooking anything, and like really giving this project time to be successful. So we'll be doing a ton of giveaways and just trying to like really connect with fans. Like we don't want to be those artists that are like, come to us, we're the artists, like buy our stuff, do all this. Like we want to be like, join our community. Like, I'm giving away 100 free vinyls through all the giveaways we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, just because like
I didn't even know you were doing 100.
But I mean that's like we want to make sure like our fans know, like, I know every artist is like, we couldn't do this without you. It's like, well, it's true, and we want to put our money where our mouth is and prove that like we really appreciate people, and we'll worry about sale, like the money through like licensing deals and stuff like that, but like we want our fans to like have the project and the art, like, because it's without them we're nothing. So
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it's all about the art, man. It's just having fun, connecting with the community, being able to live through the music and enjoy it. Like that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Yeah, man. Super exciting stuff, dude. I'm stoked about the projects. Everybody's put a lot of work into it. I have, all the artists have.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, a lot of people don't even know David's mastering all the records too. So there's a lot of time going into everything, man. Super excited about it. But yeah, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
100%. Also, shout out to Eric for your crazy ice water chat dance you be doing, man. Why? I just wanted to bring up the fact that you jump in and pools of ice for no reason in the middle of winter. I don't understand why, but you look happy doing it.
I'll tell you why, because I don't have to buy a $900 machine to cool my water down. Ooh. And I also don't have to go buy ice every day. I am not doing ice baths in the summertime. It's not happening. I'm not doing it. Do you know how much money that would cost?
I was like, this man's hardcore.
Yeah, he was with me at the coldest one. I was like, yo, you trying to come over? And I was like, yo, hold my phone.
What was it, like 35 seconds you were in there? Something like that?
I think it was a full minute.
Oof.
Man. Whatever it was really impressive, because I was like, dude, there's no way.
It was 36 minutes.
I remember seeing it. I was like, yo, this man really is having a kid. He's lost his mind.
36-degree water. There was
That's
I
what it was.
broke
It was 36 degrees.
36-degree water. I used a steak temp meter to validate. So I don't know how
Yes, so
I don't know how accurate.
More power to you, man.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
But shoot, that was good, man. We got to do this again. That was good.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. We talked about some good shit. I
Yeah.
feel like that was some good content for sure.
And the date, what the release date is, what, July 15th, right?
11.
July 11th or July 11th. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
I'm on it. 3 songs.
Yeah.
Fogwood Records,
A
baby.
third of the record. So
Yeah, we're gonna be promoting giveaways, as Dave says. So we're excited.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, yo, big shout out to both of you guys, especially David, man. David, you're doing the impossible right now. Having a label in 2025 is probably one of the most impossible things to accomplish on the planet as starting as an independent. So shout out to you, man, and shout out to you for hiring and paying and recognizing and publicizing what you guys do and bringing it back to the community and full circling every time. So big shout out to you, man. You're an incredible person. You're doing good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Happy to be
Thanks, man. I
friends.
appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
well, I'm gonna go hop off of this and mess around with the $2,000 of analog gear we just bought and installed. So.
Oh, that sounds dope. All right, Mike. I got the babies yelling at me, so I will holler at you guys.
I hear mine too. So
All right,
see you guys.
All right, y'all.
you guys. Peace out, man.
Peace.